And I just read a report regarding this No King protest, and there are 500 plus organizations behind.
Yeah,
So this is a big, big event. And then I just don't know if this is even legal to use the fund from the foreign government. Yeah, so this is my question. Okay, yeah, let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen,
right.
welcome to Cheyenne's Forum. Today is March 31st, the last day of March, and here comes my dear friend Tom. Tom, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Very good, Tom. Thank you and welcome. Before we start our topic today, I'd like to introduce Tom to my audience. Tom worked in FBI for 30 years and he worked as a assistant director of FBI for 5 years and he's retired now. Again, thank you so much for coming to our podcast.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, Tom, before we start, thank you so much for sharing your stories last podcast. Lots of my audience just text me or feedback saying very appreciate the wonderful story and the memories.
That's
Yeah,
fine. I'm glad. My
yeah,
pleasure.
sure. And let's talk about the No King protest happening the past weekend. So we see the so-called No King protest took place across the whole country. It's huge, and many reports indicated that the significant funds were invested in this event, particularly by the group linked to foreign entities. So my question is this kind of behave even legal? Can people use the foreign government money to fund the protest in America?
I think basically it looks like they can. They've gotten away with it so many times,
Hmm.
for so long.
Hmm.
So I think that it looks like they're using any money they can get a hold of,
Hmm.
build the signs and pay for the transportation of protesters and legal fees and all of that. And I think that,
Hmm.
there are enough gullible, basically stupid people in our society
Hmm.
that gives them an excuse to get out and get attention and make all that noise.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, so what?
Yeah. Do you see some marks and the signs they have? They are so many different kind of signs there. They said no king and no Trump. Some like I hate American, I hate USA, something like that. It's everything they express is legal here in the States. Is that right?
Right. If they're not advocating direct violence against somebody,
Mm-hmm.
they're pretty much just spouting their opinion that they think America's whatever, racist or
Mm-hmm.
anti-woman or anti-protest or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they're not being violent and advocating violence, they can get away with it.
Mm-hmm. So it's American is American. We're different. We're just the one. I know that in German, if you try to say something about Nazi, you're illegal. You cannot say that. But here you can say anything. Can we say that Nazi is good or communist is good? Are we allowed to say that here in the States?
Well, I think the fact that they get out there and protest against the country, they're basically saying that these other systems are very good. It's the
Hmm.
American system that's no good, or they don't like, or should be abolished, or
Hmm.
the country should be, ended, or you name it.
Right.
Now,
So,
it's interesting, they've
mhm.
already, when they start the protest, they've already got their wish. No kings.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
no kings. You're right. Kings are
Ex-
gone.
Exactly. Yeah,
So,
good proof, right?
so to call Trump a king is pretty ridiculous when you look back how short time ago it was,
Right,
how massively his victory was, how
right.
massive I mean his victory was in the election,
Hmm.
that people weren't electing a king, they were electing somebody to be a strong president,
Right.
to take a hold of the immigration problem and seal our borders and get rid of the 20 million people that are here illegally.
Hmm.
That was what the people wanted.
Hmm. Yeah.
So you didn't have to be a king to do that. You just
Right.
had to be an elected president carrying out the mandate of the people.
Right. Exactly. So it looks like they're just lack of basic knowledge, a basic logic.
Right.
Yeah. So there is a
I
line
don't think
between.
I don't think they lack the logic, and I don't think they misunderstand our system. I think they deliberately are lying,
Hmm.
deliberately trying to get people to support their side of it, which is basically
Hmm.
anything against Trump. And I
Hmm.
think that that's where the lack of credibility on their part comes.
Hmm.
They aren't arguing the constitutionality of some of these decisions or whether it's good for the country or bad for the country. They're just saying if Trump is behind it, it's bad. Period.
So,
Everything they can do to undermine Trump, they're going to try to do it
yeah, yeah. So the line is that they can say anything, but they cannot do it violently. You can,
violently, right?
yeah, yeah.
Supposedly.
Yeah, yeah. And also, there's a very interesting question regarding this No King protest. The statistics show that large number of white women participate the No King protest, carrying different signs and making different demands. So, what do you think is the reason for this situation? Why? Is this because they are naturally more like support the left-wing ideology?
I think that might be a reason why they're doing things that as men their age and their education level and experience are not carrying that out to the same extent.
Uh-huh.
So, so that's a mystery to me that why they think that they're, accomplishing something or want to accomplish something,
Hmm.
all of these women that support this position.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw one statistic. 80% is white people, and 50% are 57% are women, and most of them are high educator, like got bachelor degree and above.
Yeah, it sounds like the coalition that elected Obama. And a lot of people felt at the time that the liberals at the time were guilty, that policies that seemed racist or Jim Crow laws over the years, some various reasons like that, that
Hmm.
they had to have Obama elected to alleviate their guilt of
Hmm.
being white and being, considered superior to other races and other populations.
Right. So do you think it's fair to say that these people are being brainwashed for a long time?
I think so. I think that's fair.
So the
And I think it's fair that they knowingly want to be. They knowingly take on that kind of support if they can get it from Marxists, from, extreme left-wing groups, overseas groups that hate America, local groups that hate America. And, they miss the point of why did 20 some million people come here illegally under Biden? What led that? Nobody forced them. They
Mhm.
weren't captured. They weren't kidnapped. They
Right.
wanted to come to the U.S. Why
Mm.
is that?
Right.
Why did they think the U.S. was superior to every other country on the planet,
Mhm.
especially the ones that they came from?
Mhm. Yeah, that's
So I think
very
that's
good.
the mystery to me,
Mhm.
how they expect people to support them in that
Mhm.
position.
Mhm. Yeah. Wow. I wish you have opportunity to talk to this woman and just ask them some simple questions. It's not question them, it's have them think about this. It's a logic question, right? It's a reality.
Yeah, but they won't do it. And so, I hate to waste my time with them, with people that are that stupid and ignorant and have that degree of bias
Mm-hmm.
against the country, against our system,
Right.
against the United States.
Yeah.
And then I think at the fundamental basis is against Trump.
Yeah.
And it's still the Trump derangement syndrome is alive and well in all
Mm-hmm.
of these people. That's
Mm-hmm.
what they hate most.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's sick. Yeah. So the other thing is I just finished watch the conference held by Secretary of War Hexas and General King. They give update the battlefield in Iran, and looks like we have a very, very good processing, very good processing. And at the same time, countries such as UK and France and Spain, it's like express their unwillingness to cooperate. So why did they reach this conclusion and make this decision? Why they don't want to cooperate with us?
because their countries have already been overrun by Muslim immigrants, basically. So if you look at countries like the UK, for example, and what they're arresting people for their posts online or the statements they make publicly, that freedom is not alive and well in the United Kingdom. France, Spain, some of the other countries, similar situation, that they've taken in too many immigrants. The immigrants have destabilized the political system in that country.
Mhm.
And, that's where the problem is. So now you have immigrant Muslim groups basically trying to throw out the historic Judeo-Christian values in
Right.
Western Europe.
Hmm. Well, that's very dangerous to this country, to this Europe countries.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, meaning this Muslim that actually at least partially can control their political direction already.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
especially, the obvious rebuttal to that is, why did you want to go to that country in the first? Nobody made you go there.
Yeah.
Nobody made these people come to the United States and try to advocate for Sharia law.
Hmm.
Nobody made these people go to England or France or Spain to
Hmm.
undermine their system.
Hmm.
And yet there they are.
Yeah. And also the news come out is the king and queen from England will come to the United States here and at the end of this month. No, the end of April, I guess.
Well, they
And
must have something important to say, and they're afraid to say it in England. So come
exactly.
here where it's safe.
I agree. I agree with you. Well, actually, the king can do nothing, right, with England policy right now, or they have some influence
No, it's
further.
been hundreds of years since the king or queen of England rules the country. They're
Hmm.
basically figureheads. They have been for a long time.
Hmm.
And the problem is that the officials now ruling in parliament or the various city governments, the mayors, are
Hmm.
just so
They're Muslim.
inundated by Muslims that that's why they can't do any better.
Yeah. So it's really difficult situation here in UK, and the king maybe feel something wrong, and I don't know how many power he still have to change the country, to change the directions of UK.
That's a good question. I mean, he's still I think the institution of the monarchy in England still has some degree of respect,
Uh-huh.
especially with older conservative
Right.
British people.
Uh-huh.
But now that the newcomers have somewhat taken over,
Hmm.
not much they can do about
Right,
it.
exactly. Do you think the situation like that will happen here in our country, at least a part of our country? For example, like Texas, they have so many Muslim, so many. So they are just try to practice their laws in America. So do you worry about that?
Yeah, we need the king, essentially. We need someone as strong as Trump, and
Hmm.
hopefully, whoever succeeds him in the presidency,
Hmm.
and there are so many good candidates on the Republican side that
Hmm.
it will still preserve our system. Now,
Hmm.
the other downside is that these midterms coming up in
Yeah.
November, if the Democrats get, let's say, the House of Representatives, then they're going to go back to what they did during Trump's first term.
Hmm.
Everything's going to be try to impeach him. Everything's going to be try to obstruct everything he does.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, if the Democrats take the majority in either the House or the Senate, they'll be in a good position to do a lot of damage.
Right, right. Yeah. Talking about midterm, there are so many people, some people just saying that probably Republican lost at least one house because of the tradition and because of the Iran operation. So what do you think about the
I think
midterm?
if they lose the Senate, um, the House will not have enough majority, let's say,
Hmm.
to impeach Trump. Like they're promising endless impeachments and all of that. And
Hmm.
the problem for them will be, for the Democrats, if they impeach Trump, in other words, bring charges against him to try
Hmm.
to get him fired,
Hmm.
it takes two-thirds of the Senate to
Hmm.
have a conviction in an impeachment. So
Hmm.
66 senators have to rule to impeach Trump.
Hmm.
And if they gain a one or two person majority one way or the other, it won't be enough to do it. Now,
Hmm.
it'll be enough to keep him in court,
Hmm.
keep him defending himself, keep all of that going, but it
Hmm.
won't be enough to physically remove him.
Mm-mm, right, right. Do you think that we can hold the two house and midterm so far?
I think a lot's going to have to do, but what happens between now and November? Because
So
if the Democrats keep showing just how,
ridiculous.
misguided, let's say, they
Mm-hmm.
are,
Mm-hmm.
then that'll help make a lot of people decide we can't have these guys in charge. And I think that like they're doing now with the whole TSA issue and the airport issue, a lot of people have suffered a lot because of that policy on their part to
Mm-hmm.
not, pass the funding and hold DHS and everything else hostage.
Mm-hmm.
And I think hopefully it's going to backfire.
Yeah, that should be the case. And right now, their narrative is Trump started a war to Iran, and then everything is the price is up. So this is the point that they try to convince people that Republican is not good choice. You should vote for Democrats. They use the operation, the Iran operation, to try to defeat Republican. So what do you think about this point?
Well, I think it's a challenge for the Republicans between now and November
Hmm.
to make the point
Yeah.
that we don't want we don't want these guys excuse
Hmm.
me, taking over.
Hmm.
And we'll see. The Republicans need to convince the world,
Hmm.
especially American voters,
Hmm.
that we've put up with Iran for 47 years.
Yep.
Their first Ayatollah Khomeini and the subsequent leaders have advocated not just, well, the United States is not great or we don't like them, death to America.
Hmm.
America is the great Satan.
Hmm.
Israel's the little Satan.
Hmm.
All of the policies that they've advocated and the terrorism that they've spread around the Middle East and
Hmm.
supported financially and politically
Hmm.
has done so much damage to so many people
Right.
that it has to be prevented. And I think that so many people have made the argument since Trump started the recent attacks on Iran
Hmm.
that how could he do that? That's terrible and all of that. But
Hmm.
you have the leadership of that country advocating death to America for 47 years.
Great.
I think they mean it. I
Hmm.
think we should believe that that's what they want to do.
Hmm.
And so Trump made busy. He tried to advocate to take out their uranium enrichment program, their weapons program for many years,
Hmm.
and countermanded by Obama's decisions to give money to Iran, to support Iran, to not stop it.
Hmm.
Nobody else had the courage to stop it. And here last June, Trump sends the B-2 bombers to Iran and says, okay, destroy that mountain where they're making uranium to be enriched for weapons purposes.
Hmm.
And I think that at the time he did that, when people were saying, they're not an immediate threat. Oh,
Hmm.
yeah? How stupid are you?
Hmm.
They've been killing Americans for 47 years without hesitation and providing the money and resources for
Hmm.
Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis and any other group that would step up and
Hmm.
try to take out Americans or American allies.
Hmm.
That's good enough for them. And I
Right.
think that I think Trump basically showed Americans and the rest of the world, okay, you might not think it's an imminent threat.
Hmm.
We do.
Right.
And they've killed enough Americans in 47 years to
Hmm.
give us ample justification that
Hmm.
that's exactly what they will do, have done, and will do in the future.
Right.
So, so I think that a lot of the argument that's been made before this current Iran invasion happened, I think Trump has basically said you're wrong, and everybody knows it, and you know it.
Hmm. Right. Yeah, I agree. And also, I'm thinking that some people just do not realize how dangerous Iran is. Partially is because our media, the medias, they don't talk about Iran's situation, how they treat American and American people. They just don't talk about that. So lots of people, if you watch the mainstream media, you don't know, you don't get much information from them about Iran's true color. So
Well,
when we
the
start,
main problem is whatever you do get, you don't get the truth.
yeah.
And that's where the problem comes in. All of the debates that our founding fathers had 250 years ago
Mhm.
about a free press and an educated public all relied on the press being honest,
Yeah,
open,
yeah,
fair, and not to have fake news like we have now.
right.
And I think there's been ample proof of how fake that news has been.
Yeah, yeah. And remember that the fake news has been there for years, decades.
Right.
So yeah, I just feel so sorry for some people just get their information from CNN, MSNBC, ABC. So it's they're just being cheated for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also from regarding the Strait of Hormuz, it currently appears that Iran has begun allowed a large number of oil tank to pass through, but the situation could change at any moment. So, what is our plan for the Strait of Hormuz? We're gonna take over. We're gonna manage it. What are we gonna do to the
We
strait?
might we might do that. The main issue is going to be that the other countries, Iran has let a few ships through without trying to attack them recently.
Hmm.
And, the countries that might lose their oil, again, the United States, less than 5% of the
Yeah.
oil in the United States comes through that strait. So we
Hmm.
don't need it. And
Hmm.
I can remember one of the last times 20 years ago, we had big battles over the strait. And back to Desert Storm,
Hmm.
the country that financed us to go in there and keep it open was Japan, because Japan at that time was about 40 or 50% of their economy depended on that oil.
Hmm.
Ours, we almost don't need it at all.
Hmm.
But Japan, that was a country, and I remember hearing speeches at the time from our generals,
Hmm.
Colin Powell being an example, especially when he was Secretary of State,
Hmm.
that he said at the time, for the first time in U.S. history, we fought a war basically completely funded by other countries, and we made a profit. Japan and those
True.
countries gave the United States more money to fight that war
Hmm.
than it cost us to fight it.
Right.
And so, that's kind of been the position in the past, has been since before the Trump syndrome.
Hmm.
In the past, our allies, especially countries like Japan, and it would have been a devastating depression worldwide if the Strait of Hormuz was allowed to remain closed.
Hmm.
So it benefited us to take the money from Japan,
Hmm.
fight the war, and keep the strait open. And it
Hmm.
was enough basically to back up Iran, even though they still hated us and hated the West, at least back them up to not obstruct,
Hmm.
not shoot every plane and
Right.
ship that went near the strait.
So right now, there are two ways to solve the problem. One is we took over the strait. The second is we managed with a new Iran government. Do you
I was
think?
just going to say, taking over the strait doesn't solve the problem unless you take over the government
I agree.
and have regime change in Iran.
Yeah, right.
And, the question is going to be at this point, how close are we? We currently have regime change. Several underlings have now been promoted from
Mm-hmm.
nothing to be, the leader of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Are they really the leader for
Mm-hmm.
real? You
Mm-hmm.
know, I think not. Most
Mm-hmm.
of our experts don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of our experts are trying to tell or give encouragement to the president, don't stop too soon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like in the monster movies, the good guy kills the devil or kills the monster
It
or whatever,
always will come
and
back.
he thinks he's dead. The monster goes down, looks dead.
Yep.
And
And
then they go on going, okay, we accomplished that. And then 10 minutes later in the movie, the monster's back and everybody's getting killed.
yeah.
So that's the problem with Iran, is that
Mm-hmm.
if you don't really, really change the regime to
Mm-hmm.
the point that they have a new government that's going to cooperate
Mm-hmm.
with its neighbors, with the United States, with the West,
Mm-hmm.
until that happens, and you're sure it's happened, we're going to have this continuing problem. And I think that a lot of experts are trying to convince the president,
Mm-hmm.
don't stop too soon. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure the monster's really dead.
Right, right. Well, for the one point of view, this is right, and this is a wise advice that keep doing that. Make sure it's that 120%. No chance to come back. On the other hand, there are some pressure from the states, from domestic, that we do not want a long war with Iran. So you need to have a balance here. And also, what in
I
your
don't think you
mind?
really do. I think the balance has to be, we have to win, period.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Totally win.
yeah.
And if we have the price of gas goes up to $4 or 4.50 a gallon for a couple of months, or the price of oil in the world, any of that, that's
Mm-hmm.
fine.
Yeah,
But if that's short-term damage, we're still the richest country. We're
yeah.
still the strongest country,
Right,
and we're still in the position to sustain ourselves
right.
regardless. So I think it's easy to listen to the Democrats. Oh, we got to stop. Oh, we're going to go, oh, this, oh, that.
Mm-hmm.
Doom and gloom.
Mm-hmm.
And the only doom and gloom would be if 6 months from now or a year from now, there's still a regime in Iran that wants to kill us.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the worst case scenario. So
Mm-hmm.
don't let that happen, no matter what.
I agree. I agree. Once we decide to go to the wall, we must win the war. Period.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then yeah, so we're talking about the government, the regime change. So what is your opinion or definition of real regime change?
Somebody takes the position that they're going to give up their enriched uranium
Okay.
and invite us to come and get it.
Okay, got it.
That would mean there's a new regime
Mm-hmm.
running the country that's going to be reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
If not, then we don't have real regime change,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll pay the consequences if we don't really change the regime.
Right. And also talk about the win the war. What is the win? What's the real win the war in your mind? In what
I,
kind of situation will win the war?
well, the
100%.
win would be, you would see the win in that country when the people can come out and support their new government and not get killed. And so have a new government that would cooperate with the West,
Mm-hmm.
cooperate with their people and not kill 50,000 of them,
Mm-hmm.
um, and have that kind of a situation. We don't
Mm-hmm.
have it yet.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a big deal.
Right.
And I think that the biggest win would be that they have enough enriched uranium conservatively to make 11 nuclear bombs. They have the rocketry in that country capable of sending it to every capital in Europe,
Mm-hmm.
wiping out Western Europe
Mm-hmm.
or damaging all of our resources and assets in the Middle East and maybe further. So I think that that's a big incentive to get this over with
Mm-hmm.
and make sure they give up their enriched uranium.
Right.
Absolutely. they don't have to give up trying to make it because if they keep trying to produce it, we'll just keep destroying it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the technology and the weaponry to go over those mountains,
Mm-hmm.
air superiority to fly our B-2s over there and just destroy whatever they're trying to make again.
Mm-hmm.
But they already have enough to make 11 bombs.
Right.
So that's the difference is get that uranium out of their hands
Right.
and either have proof that it's been destroyed somehow or give it to us, basically.
Yeah, this is the key thing, and I think President Trump just emphasized that we are focusing on that parts right now. It's very difficult. It's very complicated, but we'll done it.
Right.
So yeah, just like you said, everything is focused on the change, the regime change. So this is, I think, in number one. There are two first class issue. One, change the regime. To make sure they cannot make the 11 nuclear bomb. So
Right.
I think we're
So,
gonna
which means removing the uranium. So they
right,
can't secretly bring in scientists that can assemble it or
mhm,
create these bombs.
right,
Um, take them out
right.
and get them to give up the bombs, give us those bombs.
Mhm. So how long do you think it will last, the operation? Another month? Another some kind of weeks?
Could be a month. I don't know for sure.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
But
what I
uh,
worry about is that our people will lose patience
right.
or lose the stomach to fight it out and keep it going,
Hmm.
uh, and prevent the regime from continuing to be a threat to us and to others.
Right. And remember that the mainstream media, it's just given very opposite opinions to our people. So it will help some people lose their patience, just like you worry. So we need to see some progress and we need to finish that as soon as possible. And but so far, I agree that we are doing very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also in the States right now, we are fighting. We have so many things being fighting for the Save American Act. It seems like the Senate Republicans, particularly Leader Thurm, he does not seem to be wholeheartedly support of these act. So, what other measure do you think that could be taken to move this forward? What can we do? They're in the recess.
Well, I'm sure there are measures being taken behind the scenes to convince the Republican senators do something, do what's right. And whether your majority leader is a rhino or not, get this right. Can't afford to not have it. And it may be the last golden opportunity to bring this law about.
Right. If Tom, if everybody can see that, every conservative or most of the conservative people can see that, why the leader too cannot see that? Or why he does not want to do that?
I don't know. I don't know what he sees and why he sees it and what he really thinks deep down.
Hmm.
But
Is
I,
that possible to replace him? Or
it
is
will be if he continues that, I think at some point he'll either be primaried or something. The president and his people will kick in and say, we've had enough of this.
hmm. Do you think that the president have some say about this situation?
Oh yeah.
What can he do?
Well, that's another question. What will he do? I
Uh-huh.
don't know, but he has a lot of tricks up his sleeve to
Okay.
take this on, and I think that I wouldn't rule him out this early.
Okay. But he has some way to deal with that.
Yeah, he has a
Okay,
lot
that's
of ways to deal with these guys.
uh-huh. So far, we see Senator Mike Lee. He's trying so hard, and I think he's the bravest one. And he just keep posting on the X and tell us every single small steps to pass the act. He seems the one who tried very, very, very hard. So we'll see, we'll see. And
Right.
Also, another question, maybe it's the last question, Tom. Is there any connection between U.S. actions towards Venezuela and Iran? Do you see any connections between these actions? If yes, what is it?
Well, I think Iran, they needed support from Venezuela to get oil
Mm-hmm,
during the Maduro regime.
mm-hmm,
And I think now that he's not a factor anymore, and I think that the actual leadership in Iran, I mean, in Venezuela,
mm-hmm.
is pro-American.
Right.
And I think they enabled the coup. They enabled us to go in there with minimal casualties and
Mm-hmm,
arrest Maduro and bring him to New York and put him in a jail cell.
mm-hmm,
And I think that that would not happen. And I think the person that's currently running Venezuela
mm-hmm,
has been on our side behind the scenes
mm-hmm,
before that even happened.
mm-hmm,
And I think that's a big difference.
mm-hmm. So, how about Cuba? What do you think the situation in Cuba will have a regime change in Cuba?
They might because they can't sustain themselves without support. You go back to the 1960s, it was the Soviet Union. It was always somebody had to support them.
Mm-hmm,
And going back to when Fidel Castro took over, 1960.
mm-hmm,
So now, who do they go to? They had Venezuela, they had Russia or China or others theoretically supporting them,
mm-hmm,
but not really. And without the oil from Venezuela, they can't keep the lights on.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
And and that's the problem. They don't have enough energy resources to keep that going. And I
mm-hmm,
think from the US standpoint, I think we're looking at it like, well, okay, we'll just wait till you collapse
mm-hmm.
and help you out then.
So these are the government change or regime change towards pro-America, pro-American conservative, and cooperate with America. So this is
Right.
what we want to see happen in
Yeah.
Cuba and Venezuela and Iran.
Yeah.
And what do you think about China? Do you think China are happy to see what happened in Iran right now, or they're not happy at all?
I don't think they're happy about it, but on the other hand, I think they feel like there's not too many options for them. And again, if you look at, I've seen a lot of military reports say, for example, about the Strait of Hormuz
Hmm.
and how the majority of that oil goes
Hmm.
to China.
Right.
And if that strait closes, China suffers.
Hmm.
So that's a big deal. The other side of that is I've seen so many reports that the United States Navy,
Hmm.
even if, regardless of what Iran wants to do with the strait or China wants, the oil that goes into that strait, we could choke it off at the strait, on the way to the strait, after it goes through the strait, that it has to go through completely vulnerable sea lanes before it gets to China in the first place. And
Hmm.
that whole coastal waterways that would lead to that are at the mercy of the United States Navy can choke it off.
Hmm.
And nothing they would be able to do about that.
Hmm.
So, because China, the Navy in China, a lot of military analysts basically have said that their Navy is closer to a Coast Guard
Yeah.
patrol just between Taiwan and
Basically. Yeah.
the mainland, very
Uh-huh.
close to the mainland,
Hmm.
and it's not what they would refer to as a blue waters Navy. In other
Hmm.
words, it can go anywhere on the high seas,
Hmm.
especially in the Pacific Ocean
Hmm.
or in the Atlantic or the you know
Hmm.
areas around the Middle East.
Hmm.
And they don't have that. They don't have the superior
Right.
warships to do it.
Hmm. Right. They are saying that Iran right now is not happy with China because they are supposedly cooperate with each other, help each other, allies, but China did not have not give Iran the help that Iran wants. But remember, China have a huge investment in Iran, so
Yeah.
it seems it's very complicated right now. And
But
also,
the question is, does China have the military to exert that much power to protect Iran, to help them, other
mhm.
than buy their oil?
Right, right. And also, what do you think about the rule of Russia? on these Iran operations? Do they try to help Iran? Do they just see what happened and do nothing, or what are they doing?
Good question. They may be just kind of monitoring it, hoping they don't have to get involved in it, or
Mm-hmm,
hoping that if Iran falls, they hurry up and get it over with
mm-hmm,
and not be a problem for them, so they can
mm-hmm.
get oil, so
Yeah,
they can get other resources.
they're thinking about oil and
The other issue,
mhm,
for credibility purposes,
mhm,
Russia and China devoted a lot of defensive weaponry to Iran to
mhm,
keep their airspace open, to be able to take out our fighters and bombers and all that.
mhm,
And pretty much that whole defensive infrastructure has been destroyed by us.
mhm,
So it was very ineffective. It didn't stop us. It has not prevented us from taking over airspace.
uh-huh,
Um, you see reports, for example, that our long-range bombers are refueling in the air over Tehran, over their capital. So
mhm,
that's, when a plane is refueling, it can't make defensive maneuvers. It's pretty much has got to stay on a steady path, let's say, a steady flight path
uh-huh,
to do it.
uh-huh.
And in a way, by refueling our bombers over Tehran, it's kind of like thumbing our nose at them, say, look, see, you can't stop us. You
Yeah.
can't stop us right over your capital. You can't prevent us.
It's kind of insulting them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then also this very interesting Truth Social, President Trump actually issued this morning. He said, all of those countries that cannot get fuel because of the Strait of Hormuz, like United Kingdom, which refused to get involved in the Iran, I have suggestions for you. Number one, buy from the U.S. We have plenty. And number two, build up some delayed courage, go to straight and just get it. You will have a start learning how to fight for yourself, and the USA won't be there to help you anymore, just like you won't there for us. Iran has been essentially just destroyed. So the hard part is done. So go get your own oil.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect Trump.
Yeah, so he mean it, right?
Yeah, we have.
I
And that's
just
the problem is that
I
when he
cannot
makes
stop laughing when I read this.
no, because when he makes threats like that, he
Uh-huh.
means it.
Right.
So these people can say it sounds funny. Is he
Uh-huh.
joking? Does he
Right.
mean it and everything? Well,
No, no.
test him and see if he means it.
Right.
And you find out very quickly he means it.
Right. Right. And also he talked to the press and said, well, oh, we're gonna deal with the Strait of Trump. Oh, I'm sorry, Strait of Hormuz. And he said, I'm not making joke, you guys.
Yeah.
So it seems like that he has some plan for Strait of Hormuz. Do you think it can be changed the name to Trump? What's that mean?
I don't know. I don't think they will. Uh,
Uh-huh.
but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows at some point, especially right now, the newest threat that Trump poses is ground troops.
Hmm.
And the troops that we've sent into the area right now are elite
Yeah.
fighting commandos.
They are just
So, but
top of the
between
hall.
Navy SEALs and Army Rangers, and
Hmm.
they are the best
Hmm.
equipped, the best trained, the
Hmm.
most lethal.
Hmm.
And if we actually deploy them, whether it's Karg Island, we eventually take that island over
Hmm.
and reduce all the oil shipments unless we authorize it,
Hmm.
or whether we put ground troops
hmm
on the land on the Iran side of the Strait of Hormuz.
hmm
That strait is only about 20 miles wide. It's very
hmm
narrow. And if we control the land on either side of it,
hmm
then there's no stopping any of the shipments that go through there.
Right, right.
And we might. The fact that he's got the resources now
Hmm.
in the region, in the area,
hmm
that we could do just about. If we want to do that, we could do it.
just like we're ready anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are last question. There are lots of propagandas around us right now, and especially in the Chinese communities that saying that Americans losing, Iran is like winning the war. So for these propaganda, what are you gonna say?
Prove it.
Yeah.
Basically, call their bluff
Mm-hmm.
because they know that it's false information. They know it's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Trump knows it's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that deep down they know don't push Trump too far or he'll
Yeah.
show you exactly what we can do.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And Rubio just, I think it's 1 hour ago, he got an interview and he's saying that the regime change is happening right now. So I trust him. I think it's happening right now. Maybe it will take some while, but it's happening now.
Right.
So we'll see. So next week at this time, maybe we'll see some huge difference, a huge development. What do you think?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't, it's a good question, but it could happen, but I don't know.
We'll
It
see.
may take more
Uh-huh.
exertion of power on the United States part
Hmm.
to cause Iran to basically cave in.
Sure.
And
All right.
it may still take ground troops in there, and it's probably going to take specially trained forces
Hmm.
to take out their enriched uranium supply and get it out of there. And
Wow.
so that it would have to be pretty massive undertaking. And I'm sure our special forces people are training, have been
Hmm.
training for that all along.
Hmm.
That no one way or the other, we're going to go in there and remove the enriched uranium that they could use to make bombs. We're going to take it out.
Wow.
And it's not going to be, a haphazard thing. I'm sure they're working out every detail of that even now.
Hmm.
Where is it? What form is it in? How are we going to change that into a form that we can transport safely
Hmm.
and put it on one of our planes or ships or several of them and get it out of there and get it into our safe control? So I think that the training to go into those operations has been ongoing already.
Hmm.
And Iran knows it, we know it. And so the point would be make it easy on both sides and say, come and get it, come and take it out safely. I remember years ago when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991,
Hmm.
that the majority of their enriched uranium, when they were the whole Soviet Union,
Hmm.
was in Ukraine. And basically, Ukraine said, come and get it. We don't, we don't want to keep it.
Hmm. So American just went and get it.
Safely remove it. Yeah, have our technicians go in, know how to package it, arrange it for transporting, actually transport it, and go from there.
Wow. So no wonder why we named this operation Epic Fury. This is epic. Wow.
Very epic.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tom, for telling us that. I'll translate that into Chinese as soon as possible. For last time, I'm so sorry because I have something need to finish before I do the translation. So the translation for last week is very late, a late night. But today I'll do that early.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Thank you so very
As
much.
long as your subscribers are happy with when they see the Chinese version,
Yeah, they're happy. They're so
because it
nice.
doesn't, not
Yeah.
to be a wise guy, but it doesn't help me because I can't read it either. So
Yeah, but thank you so much for the information, and I'll translate that. And people love to hear from you, especially during this time. It's very special time. Also, there are so many different information around, so people need to hear from you. Thank you, Tom.
thank you. Appreciate that.
Sure. Thank you. So I'll see you next week, and then
Okay.
we go from there. Thank you.
Thank you. See you next
Bye.
week.